Hey everybody, Happy New Year's Day. And now that we're in 2025, we can do one of my favorite things, and it's to analyze the new games that are coming out this year and talk about which ones I'm looking forward to most. Most of the games on this list are slated to come out in 2025. There is one game that is completely up in the air if it's coming out this year or not. You probably know what that is, but I just want to quickly remind you that I cannot predict the quality of these games, but all of the games on this list have developers that have proven they can produce a good game in the past. Alright, so let's start off with the Lies of P DLC since that's a given. And if you've been on my channel for quite some time now, then you know what I think about Lies of P. I think it's amazing, I think it's the best Souls-like without a doubt. I think that it even comes close to From Software in some aspects of the game. And I think about this a lot is that when the game released, it was getting close to the same reviews as Lords of the Fallen, a game that is absolutely terrible if you ask me. But with Lies of P's DLC, I have read that it is slated to come out in the first quarter of 2025, and since this will most likely be a small $15 to $20 DLC that just adds a few hours of content, that sounds about right to me. They announced the Lies of P DLC just a little bit after the game released, so I wouldn't doubt that they were working on the DLC, or at least had plans to do a DLC before the game even released. We don't know a whole lot about the DLC, but we have seen a few images that NeoWiz and Round 8 Studio has released that you should be seeing on your screen right now. I have no doubt in my mind that this DLC will be more content that is just as good as the base game or even better. What I really want to see from the Lies of P DLC though is better level design. Ever since I started playing Lies of P on day one, I have been of the mindset that the level design is the weakest part of the game and it could really be improved. And the thing is that Lies of P itself is very, very close to having excellent level design. And it's worth pointing out that everything besides the exploration of the levels has been nearly perfected in the game itself. Lies of P is known for having extremely good enemy variety and enemy design. Alongside that, the game also showers you with great extrinsic rewards, with new rings, and especially the weapon system. They have the foundation built for great level design, and I really hope that they step up the actual exploration and complexity of the levels in this DLC. But with how much I enjoyed the base game of Lies of P, having more content to hold me over while I wait for the sequel to be developed is good enough for me. Okay, so I quickly want to talk about Silksong. I'm long past the idea of expecting anything from Team Cherry. I used to be in the mindset that they would at least say something about Hollow Knight Silksong, they would at least give us an update about the game, but they have proven that they are going to keep silent for as long as they want. As a fan of Hollow Knight, I think most of us would have appreciated just a simple tweet or a website update saying that they need a little bit more time, but so be it. I have wasted enough time thinking about the release date of Silksong or why it's been delayed to the point where I have the mindset of I'll play it when I play it. So if it comes out this year, then great, but if it doesn't, then I'll still play Hollow Knight on a yearly basis. So if I've finally given up on Team Cherry, then why is Hollow Knight Silksong on this list? There is no indication that this game will come out this year, and with how packed this year is for games already, we all have something to look forward to keep us busy. Well, that's because Matthew Griffin, who is the marketing and publishing lead for Team Cherry, and Crowshorn, which is another game I'm looking forward to, gave us a little bit of news on Silksong. It's not much, but it's definitely news. Just a few days ago, someone asked if Silksong is real, and he gave us a yes. The sad part is that this one word is the most amount of news Hollow Knight Silksong fans have had this year. We've only been given silence from Team Cherry, so seeing that someone still cares about Silksong enough to give us a yes is enough to keep me hoping that the game will release. I have seen theories and ideas that the game was cancelled and Team Cherry just hasn't announced it yet, and I have to say that I hope that's not the case. The thing with Silksong is that when I get to play the game, I'm sure I'll love it, but I'm more interested as to what happened behind the scenes with the game. I'm not a game developer, and I understand that making games is an extremely hard process where many have to toil to produce a quality product. But I still can't deny that the wait has been so long that I have made up theories in my mind that Team Cherry ran into some creative burnout, or the game has been put on ice behind the scenes and nothing was happening for years even. These ideas rapidly swirl around in my mind, and I don't really know what the real answer is, and I don't ever think I will know the answer. But because of the love I have for Hollow Knight, I have yet to forget about Silksong. Other games that I used to follow with an unpredictable development cycle would cause me to forget about the game, and the long wait usually wasn't worth it for that game, so by the time the game came out I wasn't even interested in the game anymore. But since I love Hollow Knight so much, I have yet to give up on the game, and I have faith that it will come out and I will love it when it comes out. There isn't another game that I have played that does exactly what Hollow Knight does for me. The melodious music that I enjoy, the cute art style, and even the storytelling and lore are all aspects of the game that I enjoy. And I have no doubt that when Hollow Knight Silksong releases, it will be the masterpiece that I have envisioned in my mind. And to touch upon Elden Ring Night Rain, the game I'm looking forward to most this year, I want to quickly say that this game has been somewhat contentious and that is not something I expected from the From Software fanbase. I've seen my fair share of naysayers in my comments section and on online forums saying that this game is a cash grab, the quality will be low, Souls games need Miyazaki to be successful, and I vehemently disagree with almost everything that is being said. The only point that I may capitulate on is that this game is a cash grab. I don't think that this game will be a cash grab in that it will be only for the money and the quality will be low, but I also can't deny that the Elden Ring IP is so successful that Bandai Namco and From Software simply letting it go is probably a hard pill for them to swallow. And I'm just going to come out and say, even if this game is exactly that, and they don't want to let go of Elden Ring because of its success, I'm not upset by that. Even if this Elden Ring game isn't going to be the Elden Ring that we all know and love, I still like to play Elden Ring. And even if this is a altered version of what we know of Elden Ring, I'm still going to enjoy it. And even though I can almost guarantee that I will enjoy it, there's also nothing wrong with being real about what you know about yourself. I know that this may upset some From Software fans, but I'm just going to come out and say that this will not be my favorite From Software game. Nobody knows myself better than I do, and I can tell you that from what this game is most likely going to be, I will not have this as my number one From Software game, and I don't take issue with that. From what we know about Elden Ring Night Reign, it's going to be a game that's focused on co-op, and I'm a solo player. There also won't be the large, sprawling dungeons, such as Stormvale Castle, that I love, for example. And it will mainly be focused on picking certain champions, and the game will be very similar to a roguelike experience. Everything that I said sounds fun as fuck. But since we're not having the traditional level design, and if we do it'll be a lot smaller, and the game is seemingly designed around co-op, this probably will not be my favorite From Software game, and still, I don't look down on Elden Ring Night Reign. I take no issue with From Software experimenting with new ideas, and this was a given if you were up to date with what From Software and Miyazaki has said. Miyazaki has said multiple times that From Software will be trying new games with new directors, and I can definitely tell you that Elden Ring Night Reign was not what I expected, nor was it what I would have wanted. I would have really liked to see From Software do something with a horror take, but I still have very high expectations for what Elden Ring Night Reign is. Here's the thing, even a game like Armored Core was something that I played, I didn't finish, but I left Armored Core saying, you know what, it's a pretty good game, I just have some issues with it that I don't really care about, it didn't hold my attention, and I left, but I still know that Armored Core is a good game. And I don't see a time when From Software has delivered something that's truly a bad product, even a mid product. Something like Dark Souls 2, which I have been an open hater towards it, is still a good game, as much as that may hurt to admit. If you look at every other Souls-like on the market, Dark Souls 2 is better than every other Souls-like besides Lies of P, in my opinion. Dark Souls 2 is also known to have a troubled development within From Software, and it was internally rebooted, and it still has a high-quality standard compared to other Souls-like games. Even some of the bosses in Dark Souls 2, such as Dark Lickers or Fume Knight, are better than most other Souls-like game bosses, because From Software delivers quality products. And even if you didn't like Shadow of the Erdtree, that's fine. I still think that you may find some fun to be had with Elden Ring Night Reign. I'm not saying it's going to be for every From Software fan, but I think that the vast majority of Elden Ring fans will have some intrinsic interest in this game. Because even if the game is just a boss rush mode, I still think I'll enjoy it a decent amount. And that's why every game that I have on this list, Elden Ring Night Reign is still at the very top, because I think From Software delivers quality products. If Silksong was confirmed to come out this year, which it's not, sadly, Silksong would be number one, but we don't really know when that's coming out. Now, as for Monster Hunter Wilds, I have to say that the Monster Hunter franchise is something that is up my alley, and when I look at Monster Hunter gameplay and when I hear people talk about it, I hear myself saying, oh yeah, this is for me. And I tried Monster Hunter Worlds for 5 or 6 hours, and it never really clicked with me. The fact that it never clicked with me is very odd, because I know that what Monster Hunter contains is something that is, like I said, up my alley. The idea of finding a huge weapon and beating the shit out of a boss is something that I do all the time. So I was always puzzled as to why I never clicked with Monster Hunter. But it is a franchise that I do want to like and talk about with the community. And with Monster Hunter Wilds releasing within the next 3 months, and this game being open world, it will probably be something that I end up trying. who knows, maybe Monster Hunter Wilds will be my Elden Ring story. A lot of people got onto Elden Ring when it came out because it was open world. It was a lot easier to understand and just fuck off if a boss was giving you too much of a challenge. And maybe that will be what I need with Monster Hunter. I can go out, look at the pretty open world, and probably get 25 FPS because Capcom sucks at optimizing their games. But hopefully this is what gets me into Monster Hunter. I know that it has a lot of ideas that click with what I like, and it's really puzzling to me that I just never got into it. So now I want to talk about the 2 Obsidian RPGs that are coming out this year. And if I'm being honest, I probably won't check out these 2 games when they come out. Avowed, I've already kind of checked off. I'm not too interested in Avowed. However, The Outer Worlds 2 does look interesting because I really like the world of The Outer Worlds 2, even if it does look like a bit of a Fallout knockoff. And that's where Fallout comes into play. I am a huge fan of Fallout New Vegas. I think it's one of the best games ever made. I think it's the best Fallout game without a doubt, and I also think that Bethesda doesn't make good Fallout games. And I'm sure anyone who is familiar with the Obsidian and Bethesda relationship can see where this is going, and if Obsidian is open to it, can we please just hand Fallout back to Obsidian for one more fucking game? Look, being a Fallout fan is kind of like being a masochist. I played Fallout 4, I played some 76, and I hated it. I played the game. And I would get some gratification from playing the game because I was able to complain about it. I like to complain. But what I like to do more than complain is actually play a good game. And Fallout 4 and 76 certainly aren't that. So it's time that we give Fallout back to Josh Sawyer, and he can make whatever he wants with Fallout. Josh Sawyer has said that he is open to going back to Fallout, and since the TV show takes so much from Fallout New Vegas, it's time to get a Fallout New Vegas 2, or something like that. And what I love most about the Fallout TV show is that it's set in the west side of the United States because the writers of the TV show knew that the east side games that Bethesda made are usually fucking dog shit. And they're not worth telling a good story in because Bethesda did the stupidest shit with Fallout on the east side of the United States, mainly with Fallout 4 and 76. And they took heavily from Fallout New Vegas because they knew that Fallout New Vegas is the best Fallout game. It's as simple as that. So I want Obsidian to wrap up their 2 upcoming RPGs, and then I want Microsoft to grow a brain and let Obsidian cook a new Fallout game. It's time. I haven't had a great Fallout game since 2011. And I'm ready to have a new Fallout game that's good. And I know that Obsidian and Josh Sawyer are capable of making that great Fallout game. I just got done playing Pentiment that Josh Sawyer made, and it was amazing. And we all saw Bethesda make Shattered Space, and it was terrible. No one liked it, because Bethesda has lost the plot. They haven't made a good game in a long time. They have been making the same game over and over and over again, and each time they release a new product, their fans continue to push back on what their games are because they feel dated. They've been done before. So Bethesda can make the Elder Scrolls 6 and it can be terrible, and I wouldn't really care because I don't like the Elder Scrolls that much, but I like Fallout. And I have zero faith in Bethesda to put out a Fallout game in the next decade, and I have even less faith that it will be anything above average. So Microsoft, it's time. The Fallout show blew up, and it was a major hit that no one was really expecting. So can we please get a new Fallout game rolling? Please and thank you. So let's move on to Subnautica, which is a game that I kind of just found out of nowhere. I didn't really know too much about Subnautica before I played it, and when I did play it, I ended up really liking what I played. Now, I only played Subnautica. I didn't play Below Zero because I heard Below Zero was worse, and I had a decent amount of my Subnautica itch scratched after I played through Subnautica. But when I saw the reveal trailer for Subnautica 2, I said, oh, that's pretty cool. And I've had the desire to play Subnautica again. So pretty soon I think I'll do a Subnautica replay through. It's nice for me to have a side game while I do the Elden Ring video that's pretty large. And what I like so much about Subnautica is that I've never played a game where most of your exploration is underwater. Subnautica never really triggered any thalassophobia, but it did have an atmosphere that I was really engaged in. I never once was all that scared, but I was engaged with the sea creatures that I was seeing. And since no other game has really done what Subnautica has done for me at least, I am more excited for Subnautica 2 than I expected to be. The only thing that I don't like about Subnautica 2 is that it's launching in early access. Now, I'm not a game developer, so I don't know the ins and outs of launching in early access, but what I do know is that I'm not very patient, and if I had a lick of patience, I would wait the 2 to 3 years that this game is going to be in early access, wait for the 1.0 version, and get the best experience possible. But I cannot do that, so I'm just going to play it when it comes out this year. But I also think that speaks to the quality of Subnautica because I'm willing to wait for something like Hades 2 to leave early access so I can get the best experience for Hades 2. I can play, and I have played other roguelikes before, but I have not played a survival game with pretty ocean exploration. And that's what's so impressive about Subnautica. The story, while I did enjoy it, I can find better stories in other games. I can find better graphics in other games, but the idea of seeing these weird looking sea creatures in an open world ocean is not a common thing that I have played in video games before. And the penultimate game on this list is Ghost of Yotei. There's a lot of things I respect about Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yotei, but one thing I want to say before we get too far into any of this is that if Ghost of Tsushima proved one thing to me, it's that you don't need this ballooning budget to make a game that I feel like is a masterpiece. Don't get me wrong, Ghost of Tsushima's budget was very high, around $60 million, but the game also released around the same time, I think 3 months after The Last of Us Part 2 released, and The Last of Us Part 2's budget is more than 3 times of Ghost of Tsushima's budget, and I feel like Ghost of Tsushima is a better game in almost every merit. The storytelling is better than The Last of Us 2. The art style and how pretty it is better than The Last of Us 2. And the exploration and combat in Ghost of Tsushima is still something that I enjoy more than what's in The Last of Us 2. I'm not trying to make a video that's shitting on The Last of Us 2, but what I'm saying is that we've all heard the news that video game budgets are ballooning, but I see games like Astro Bot or Ghost of Tsushima that didn't require hundreds of millions of dollars to create something, and I think these games are fucking awesome. I was a little bit confused when I saw Astro Bot won Game of the Year, but when I started to think about it, I'm like, wait, this makes complete sense. Astro Bot is a fun, cute little game, and it proved that you don't need hundreds and hundreds of developers and a budget the size of some of these games like Cyberpunk 2077 or The Last of Us 2 to make something that's fun to play. And sure, it may not have the absolute best graphics. I may not be able to zoom in on someone's eye and say, oh yeah, I can see the pixels on this iris. But whatever Ghost of Tsushima doesn't have that these games with a higher budget has, Ghost of Tsushima still wins out in a lot of other factors for me personally. And even though I love Jin Sakai as a character, I'm glad that we're getting something completely new. It expands the world of Ghost of Tsushima. We get to see a brand new character with brand new issues that's not continuing what Jin Sakai's story was. Plus, if we did do a sequel to Jin, it would be hard for the developers to ignore the choice you have at the very end of the game that I won't spoil. One of the worst things a video game can do is having a choice with heavy consequences, and the sequel just completely ruins it and decanonizes that choice. So with us getting a new protagonist in the second game, we can let Jin's story be unique and completed, and we get a brand new protagonist that I'm really interested in. I think it's the best choice Sucker Punch could have made. The fun part about Ghost of Yotei is that when I look at the trailer for this game, I'm just reminded about how pretty Sucker Punch is able to make their games. Look at these pretty blue flowers, or the rich scenery that this trailer is filled with. And even though the trailer for Ghost of Yotei was 3 minutes long, I have complete faith in Sucker Punch. If this was something like the Intergalactic trailer that Naughty Dog put out, I'm admittedly a little bit cautious about that trailer because Naughty Dog hasn't really impressed me with one of their games in a long time, and The Last of Us 2 had trailers that full-on lied and deceived the people who viewed that trailer because it misled them and showed them cutscenes that weren't even in the game. But when I see Ghost of Yotei, I'm like, yes, I'm all in on this. So, if you haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, and you're a little bit curious about Ghost of Yotei, I would say yes, try Ghost of Tsushima. It's on PC, and you can play it on a PlayStation console. I think it's a great game that's worth trying, plus I'm sure you can pick it up for pretty cheap now. Okay, so before I talk too much about Grand Theft Auto 6, I'm going to rattle off a few statements that I'm sure most of us can agree with. I agree that Rockstar Games always puts out 9 out of 10 banger games. Their graphical fidelity is always 3 years ahead of what the norm is. And their stories are really good. A game like Red Dead Redemption 2 probably has some of the best voice acting that any game has ever seen. The story in Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption 2 is fucking fantabulous. Everyone loves it, besides me. So I know that fans of Rockstar Games absolutely adore Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption 2, but every time I've tried to play a Rockstar game, I've always found myself bored. I don't really know what it is, and it's kind of sad that something like Red Dead Redemption 2 was really up my alley. I like games with cinematic stories and good graphics and strong characters and extremely strong voice acting in Red Dead Redemption 2. I like that stuff. But every time I've tried to play Red Dead Redemption 2, I've just been really bored. And I know that it's not something you hear, and some people don't like that answer, but it's true, I just get bored. And that's why I started the Grand Theft Auto 6 discussion off, praising them because I can see it. I can see that they put out extremely high quality games. They're usually just not for me, and I don't know what it is. I can play games that have bad gameplay. Every time I've played a Rockstar game, I've been like, okay, the gameplay is pretty bad. I can play games with terrible gameplay. I do it all the time. Fallout New Vegas is still one of my favorite games ever made, but it's just something with me and Rockstar games that don't click. But I have Grand Theft Auto 6 on this list here because it's going to be a global event that almost everyone will acknowledge. With how popular the Grand Theft Auto name is, I am curious to see how many people are going to be taking off work that day or even 2 days just to play it. Am I going to be seeing more bullshit news articles talking about how Grand Theft Auto causes violence? I hope not, because those are annoying, but still, Grand Theft Auto's release is not going to be something small like Silksong. It's going to be a release that reaches the masses. And while everyone is enjoying Grand Theft Auto 6, I'll be on the side by myself because it's probably going to be something that's not for me. However, I will most likely buy it just because it's Grand Theft Auto and everyone is getting in on it, so why would I not want to join in on the fun? But I don't go into a Rockstar game expecting to love it like I would with something like From Software. Even if it is great, I understand it, I get it, trust me, I do. It's just not always for me. Okay. That's the end of the list. I'm sure the Rockstar fans aren't very happy with what I said, but I hope that these games do end up being really good because I like to play video games as a hobby. And if there is something that I left out, you can always let me know. Regardless, thank you for watching the video and have a good day.